Welcome back, everybody, to On the Break. Jon and Andres here. We are talking everybody's favorite punching bag, Harry, the Englishman Winks, 25 years old, garnering lots of attention from La Liga. What's funny is I wrote an article, Andres, maybe about 2-3 weeks ago, where I said that there's still a spot for Harry Winks on this squad as a second or third rotational kind of midfielder. And it was a long time since I've gotten beaten up on the internet, but it was fun.
You got flayed, right?
Big time. Big time. It's always fun to get flayed publicly. So, but you know what? Apparently the fans didn't agree with me. Apparently Tottenham management doesn't agree with me. But do you know who agrees with me, Andres? Spain.
Who?
Spain agrees with me. Atletico Madrid, Sevilla, Valencia, just three of apparently a handful of clubs who are interested in Harry Winks this summer with, and I kid you not, some valuations as high as 20 million, which at that point you take the money and run, right?
I mean, are you being sarcastic? I actually think that's a fair valuation for Winks.
No, I'm not being sarcastic. I think for 20 mil, if he were, and somebody in the comments made a good point. They said 20 mil is a good valuation for, let's say, if he were a championship player who we haven't seen their best yet, and there was still room to improve, and they were slightly younger. At this point, they made the point that they think they've seen the best in Harry Winks, now, and that we're really only going to get what we see now. Now, apparently, a lot of other clubs disagree with that, and they think there's more to be had. I think 20, based on his position and value to us, is probably a good price.
Yeah, I think that is a good price, especially considering the global circumstances. I think normally he'd be worth maybe 25 mil, so 20 sounds actually, honestly, on the bit of the higher side. But before we get into this, Jon, why do you think that Winks deserves like a second or third spot in the squad? Like, can you let the viewers know like what the main crux of your argument was?
Yeah, my main crux is I'm a big sap. And, I love the badge, and I love homegrown players. And I've been watching this kid for years, and I've seen him pour his heart out on the field. I've seen him jump into Poch's arms. I've seen him, score last-minute winners. I've seen him, boss it to Real Madrid. I've seen what Harry Winks can do. And part of me still believes, and I had the same problem with Ryan Mason, right? But part of me still, and don't get me wrong, I have the same problem with everybody. Like, I'm a sap for everybody. Andres Townsend,
even
Adebayor. What?
Even Adebayor?
No, I did not.
Okay, got it.
He's more of a mercenary.
Make sure there's a line drawn.
Yeah, I'm talking about like homegrown Tottenham boys, right?
Yeah.
Like, again, like Townsend, Tom Carroll, Ryan Mason, and now Harry Winks. Like, we're getting to, like, obviously they're getting to the precipice of their Tottenham careers, and yeah, I want to see them do well. And even when they don't, like, I still want to see them do well. Same with Eric Dyer. Like, everybody wants to see the back of him. I still love Eric Dyer. Eric Dyer loves me, and I can chant that all day. It's one of my favorite chants because I don't know. I just love to see our boys do well, and I'll root for them, even when they're down. So I am the eternal optimist. That wasn't necessarily my argument. That's just how I feel. My argument was,
I like that though.
Like,
go ahead.
I think he's better than Moussa Sissoko, and I think he will be. I think 2021-22 Harry Winks is better than 21-22 Moussa Sissoko. I think he's got a better. I think he can get to where he needs to be. I think he needs a little confidence. I think he's a little jaded at this point. He probably thought he was leaving 2 transfer windows ago. He's unsettled. He's upset. I can see why that hasn't translated to the pitch very well. Sorry, I went on like a 4-minute rant. Go ahead.
I love it. And I think you do address a larger issue here that I think does need to be talked about, because fans love talking about loyalty. They love when a good player leaves the club. They love to rip on them and talk about how they're a mercenary, right? But then on the flip side, you do have players like Harry Winks, like Tom Carroll, that grow up with Tottenham, that grow up with the club, and make their career there. And as soon as their form dips, get them out of the club. They don't deserve to be here. And I think this is part of the larger issue of like social media reactivist, essentially, right? Like, and that's a whole nother 3-hour video that we can put up, right? But I do like your points on, maybe these players do deserve a bit more credit. And I thought about it the same way that I think about Pochettino, in the sense that I think Pochettino did deserve a little bit more time because he had enough in the bank to pull out on, right? His credit line, in my opinion, was not close to being maxed out.
Right. No,
right? He had a lot to pull a lot back out on. And I do think that these academy players deserve the same treatment, in the sense that they have been with the club for so long. They've lived and breathed the club. So let's give them a little bit more time to find themselves, right? And I just don't want to see what happens when Tanganga's form dips, as it inevitably will, because he's a human player, right? As far as Winks goes, specifically for him, I do hate to be the bearer of bad news here, John. I do think his time is up at Tottenham. Not necessarily because of the club, but for himself. I do want to see him succeed. And I do think that he has shown everything that he can for Spurs. I don't think that he's shown everything that he can be in his career. And that's why I would like him to go, because I do think that it's time for him to find a new chapter and to thrive. He deserves to thrive. Every coach has said he is extremely hardworking. He has been asked to play multiple roles within Spurs. Yes, at varying degrees of success, but he's done it, and he's never complained about it. He's never ran to the media. I do think that I would like him to play in a different system and under a different environment and ecosystem within of itself, just to see what he can do. Because I agree that we haven't seen everything that he can do, but I do think that he's reached his peak at Spurs, unfortunately.
You're right, and that's how I rationalize every move of every player that's born and bred here. And that's how I generally come to terms with it. That yes, it's their time and it's good for them, and it's so yeah, I'll be fine when he goes. Thanks for asking. I appreciate your concern, but it's
you'll live, and also you got to remember, him going might open up a spot for Skip to be either the rotational player if Spurs decide to bring him on and keep him next season, but absolutely for the future as well.
Yeah. I mean that's all, of course, assuming Oliver Skip is ready to take on that role.
Right. Which many people, of course, we've already done the video on, and viewers can look at that. But
yeah, no, I mean, look, when it's time, it's time. Just like it's this video's time. Andres, thank you so much for your input, as always. World, we want to hear from you. We want to hear what you have to say about Harry Winks. I am sure that 94% of you will say, time to go, Harry, and that's okay. But maybe 6% of you share my sentiment. As always,
keep fighting the good fight, 6%.
Right?
Keep fighting the good fight.
Me and the 6%, we were going to be out there in the streets fighting for Harry Winks. Right. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Support what we do here. We appreciate it. And as always, we'll see you on the break. Cheers.
Thanks, John.